All right, today we're doing a service on this excavator. It's a 316 FL. It's a pretty big excavator. We use it here on the site. We do metal recycling, so we use it all the time to load these big bins of metal. So it's in need for a service. So I'm going to do that. Everything detailed of what I'm going to be doing is in the journal, which will be at the end of the video, and all the filters that I used is right here. That's going to be in the video as well in the very end. So hopefully this is helpful. I show you where all the filters are, I show you where all the locations, and I show you how to do everything. This is what you need to know if you own this excavator or an excavator like this. Now we're draining the engine oil. It's got a little tube right here underneath. It's got a little turn valve there. You just turn it counterclockwise and let it drain. There should be about 4 quarts of oil, so I've got a couple buckets here just to make sure I've got enough room for the oil to drain. Alright, so I went to the other side as the oil is draining, matching up all the filters to which filters are on this side. So we got 2 hydraulic filters here. We have an oil filter there, and then we have this fuel water separator. And what I did was just go ahead and place them where it needs to be. Make sure I have everything. All the part numbers match up from the OEM CAT dealership. And so all we have to do is just start unscrewing and replacing. As you're doing this oil filter right here, there's got a little flow valve there. Just screw it. And what I had to do is I had to loosen that just so it can have airflow down, because it wasn't draining with it all the way tight. So unscrew that a little bit, let air go in there, and let the oil drain out before you take it out, so you can prevent a big old mess. These are what the old filters look like. That's the old filter. This is the new one. Make sure you're putting it in properly. This is a bigger side. It fits right on top of there. Skinnier side fits right in there, snug. Those are the oil filters. And then next up is the water separator. So this is another one. I've got it draining in the bucket, but you just turn this counterclockwise, and you crack this loose some, let the air go in, and let it filter out. Get all this fluid out, drained into a bucket as best as possible. You see that there's not a lot in there anymore. You also got to disconnect this connector right here. I guess it's this little sensor here. And then after that, you can replace it with your new filter. So another thing about these filters, when you put it in, this little screwing mechanism that allows the fluid to leak out, it screws into the filter. So make sure when you're screwing that in, this is all the way placed down, so it's tightening this down, and then that's tightening up. Make sure you're not monkeying it. Just make sure it's tight enough where it's not leaking, and tight enough for where that's seated all the way. This has also got like a little rubber ring around it. It's glossy because I put some fuel back on it. You need to do that even with these oil filters. Make sure you're putting some good clean oil around the ring. That way it's sealing up right, and it's not grabbing and not being able to seat up there properly. So make sure you're lubricating that so you can install it easily. Alright, so with that, I've got all of the filters replaced. We've got the 2 new hydraulic filters, the new oil filter, and then I've got the new fuel and water separator. I've got it all cleaned up. Make sure you take some brake cleaner and cleaning it up, wiping it down. and marking the day that you did it. I put my initials there to make sure that they know that I'm the one who did it. And then I'm going to also put the hours that the machine has on here as well, and I mark every single one of them so there's no confusion for next time. All right, so next I'm going to do this hydraulic filter. What you're going to have to do is take off these 4 bolts. This plate comes off. Make sure you're not losing any parts. Make sure you put it back the way it was. And then there's going to be a little cover there. It's going to have another 4 bolts there, and I'll show you. And then I'm going to take the hydraulic filter out, which I've got it in that box, and then I'm going to replace it, and I'll show you that step. All right, so I just took those 4 bolts off. This is what it looks like underneath. This right here is what we're after. So what I'm going to do is take some brake cleaner and clean all this up. Make sure there's no dust, no dirt or anything. This is very important that it stays clean. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up. I'm going to take these 4 bolts out, take that plate off. There's going to be a spring that helps the plate come up, that holds the filter down. So we're going to take all that off, and we'll show you next. So I just got this all cleaned up, and I took the bolts out, and like I said, there's a spring, so it sprung up a little bit, and this is what it looks like underneath. Took that cap off, and then it's got this spring that I was talking about, which just sits on that filter. There's a little cap there. Put in there. Take this, and this unscrews. There's the filter. Make sure this all stays clean. You don't want any dirt getting in there. Also, there's an O-ring here that we're going to be replacing, and make sure all this dirt around here is swept up. You don't want any dirt getting in there. So this is the new one. It's got a label. It says top and bottom, and you just put it back just the way you took it off, in reverse order. So we'll put that in there. We'll fill around because it should seat in there, and then just twist it a little bit, and then you'll hear a little thud. I think I heard it, and it seats in there. Then this little plate goes on there, and I was wrong, this doesn't twist. All it does is just seat on there. And then spring, and then I'm going to finish wiping this off. There's a little dirt there, and I'm going to put it back on. And when you bolt it down, just go in a cross pattern so that you're getting it evenly tightened down. And then when you tighten it, you want to tighten it pretty good for it not to come off, but you don't want to tighten it too much for it to mess up something, so just be cautious of that. So for that O-ring there, I'm going to be taking it out and replacing it with this new one. That's the part number there. So also when you take it out, you also want to lubricate this so everything seats up properly. Just put some good fresh hydraulic oil on there. Should do right. Alright, now we're on the left side of this cat. So right here we have the big air filter and small air filters. So there's 2 parts in there. And what you want to do is check windshield wiper fluid. It's got plenty of that. Make sure there's no corrosion on the batteries. Make sure that this bracket is all the way bolted down. There's no wiggling. It's not moving around. This bolt's all the way tight. You also want to check your radiator. Make sure it's not dusty or dirty. See, ours is dusty. So I'm probably gonna blow that out. And then we also have this fuel filter over here, and we're going to replace that with this new one. Just like we did on the other side, you just open that little valve there and let the fluid drain out. You gotta crack this for it to have a pretty good flow. So just let most of it drain out, and then you can get it out with not making a mess. I'm just using this Powerade bottle. It's a pretty big bottle. I just found it laying around. So I'm using it. It's got a little port where you could hook a hose to it. I just don't have the hose on me right now, and just doing what I can with what I got. So it works. Keeps it from not making such a big mess. So that one right there on top, that's what the old one looks like. It's pretty dirty. And then this is the new one, what it looks like. Put it down, got that little seal there, make sure it's got some fluid on it so it doesn't stick while you're twisting it up. And then twist that to where the filter is getting clamped downward with that little port there. So up here on the top, you can open this little hood and you get to the engine. And right here is the valve cover, and right there is where you're going to take and fill up your oil. This is the dipstick for the oil. And then here's the coolant reservoir. It shows that it's in the middle, so it's good. And all the way around this, it's got these little tags. It's from the dealership. It tells you what kind of coolant. So this is a coolant tag, and that's what kind of coolant they used. And then here's the engine oil, and that's what oil they use, so it's 15W40. It's pretty cool little tags. I didn't know if you knew that or not, but just more information you know. So while I was changing all the filters, which I'm done now, I was letting the old oil drain out, so it's all done draining. So I screwed that little valve back, so it's plugged. Now all we have to do is fill it up with oil, and it's these Cat OEM oil. It's the 15W40. It calls for like 4 gallons. So what I'm going to do is put 3 gallons in, and then see what it looks like on the dipstick and go from there. I'd rather be safe than sorry and overfill it. That would suck. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, put the 3 gallons in, and then check it, and then go from there until it looks good on the dipstick. And then I'm going to run the machine, make sure it gets good and hot, and then I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm going to check it again. So I ended up actually putting all 4 gallons in there. It's on the high side, so what I'm going to do is let it run, let it cycle through, and let it fill up all the filters, and then it should be right where it needs to be. So right here on top, right behind the arm, is going to be the swing drive, and that is where you check the fluid there, and mine says it's at high, so it's good to go. The fluid looked pretty clear, so no worries there. Alright, so I just completed the service. I made a checklist of everything that I've done and had to check over. This is everything. This is all the parts, and this is part numbers here. This is how many gallons of oil it takes. So whole detailed list. This is everything that I've done to this excavator here. Pretty helpful there. And then this is the maintenance from the OEM maintenance. So I went over this too. It talks about how you clean the battery, you check the battery support box, and all of this will be in the video at some point. And then here are all of the filters, which is labeled in that little journal there. This is everything that I used. What I used was this flex head 3/8 ratchet. It does a very good job. And I use a 19mm socket for the oil filter that's up on top. And then I use these oil filter wrenches, and that's basically all that you need to service this excavator, besides a brake cleaner and a lot of paper towels and a couple buckets. This bucket was very helpful. I put all my old filters in there. I did use a water bottle, or this Powerade bottle, to catch all of that fluid coming out so it didn't make a mess inside of there. So I used a couple buckets, Gatorade bottle, brake cleaner, which was very useful, a Sharpie, and that's about it. Very easy. It took me probably about 2 hours. I wasn't really rushing too much, so it was pretty good pace. And all I've got to do now is just crank it, let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll check the oil back, and then it should be good to go.